Canon 35mm f2 IS for Blackmagic Pocket 6K. This is Canon 35mm f2 with image stabilization. It is EF mount. The main reason I got it is the image stabilization. I got before Sigma 18-35, but shooting handheld with Sigma is quite annoying and you always get these micro jitters. Maybe I'm not skilled enough to do it, but after some investigation I bought this one. There are not a lot of the reviews of video side of this lens. You can see some photo reviews, but I actually bought it after watching this video. I like the look from this lens in this video, so I decided to buy it. I bought it new since I haven't seen it cheap enough used to justify a buy of the used one. Basically I got almost the same price for a new one as the used available on the market at the time, so and that was no brainer. And what's the price for this one? In my country is around $600, and actually quite surprising, it's the same price in US, and in Eurozone it is actually 470 euros, so maybe a bit cheaper. Not a cheap lens, but I'd say it's quite worth it. It is full frame lens, although it's not very big. It's quite wide but short, so diameter is almost 8 centimeters, but the length is just a bit more than 6 centimeters, so I'd say it's quite small for f2 lens, especially the full frame. And it weighs 335 grams without the hood and caps, so quite light, although it feels substantial in the hand, so doesn't feel cheap. Maybe it's not like a tank, but feels nice. And I got tilting a focus ring for it that works quite well. And filter thread is 67mm, so quite common, although I use 82mm filters, and I use the cheap step up rings or step down rings to attach my ND filter. You don't get hood, so I bought a third-party one for around $10. I only use this for photos, for videos. In most cases I got ND filter, or if not, then I left the adapter rings for ND, and they have the same purpose as the hood, so doesn't matter that much that it's not included. If you think of video for photos, this different story. And size wise, this is how it looks like on Blackmagic 6K. So I'd say this is really nice fit, and it's still quite light, and I like it for handheld shooting. Feels good in the hand with that lens. Is much better than Sigma, which weighs almost 1 kilogram and it's really front heavy, and this one I can keep it in one hand, but to get really steady footage it's better to have two hands. Anyway, I got my left hand on the follow focus, and I also sometimes use the peak design slide to get more stable footage. What about focus on this lens? So you can see the review of Canon 24mm and my struggle with focus with that lens, and how this looks with this one. I'd say it's better, although you still got this. You got this scale, and on the scale, with that small move, you move from 2 meters to infinity. So it is definitely not a cine lens, but with 7-inch monitor, it's quite easy to focus with this lens. Although when you want to focus on something which is far away, maybe it's not that easy. But if you shoot people, if you shoot close-ups, it is really easy to focus. And also the focus throw from 24 centimeters to 2 meters is like that, so you got plenty of room to work with. The only con is this 2 meters to infinity, but the rest is quite nice. So if you want to shoot a close-up of a person, in most cases the person would be within 2 meters, so it is really nice to focus on the face. But if you want to shoot the whole body, then it's a bit different story, although it is not that bad and is 24. Yet it is not the cine lens when you got like 90 degrees of focus draw from 2 to infinity. So not bad, but not a cine lens. What is good about the focus of this lens is minimum focus distance is 24 centimeters. So with this 35 millimeters on Blackmagic, it is really nice for close-ups. So you can even shot close-ups of insects. It is not a macro lens by any means, but the close-ups are nice. So minimum focus distance is a plus for this lens. Of course, since it's a photo lens, there are no hard stops. At least the good thing is that the focus ring is not electronically coupled, so it's a mechanical focus ring, so you can change focus whenever you want, and it is linear, so it doesn't change when you change the speed of the focus. But since there are no hard stops for the focus, it sometimes is quite annoying. Sure, I can use the hard stops of the Tilta Mini, but if I want to shoot something close, then I would have to set hard stop on the minimum focus distance and another one somewhere between to if I want to change focus during the take. And then if I would like to shoot something which is farther away, then I have to set stop on infinity and then set another hard stop close to the focus I want to get. So it is quite annoying, because if you don't set hard stops, then if you want to, for example, do a focus pull during the take, and if you set only one close to the focus you want to get, then if you go beyond the infinity, your hard stop is lost. So you go beyond the infinity or beyond the minimum focus distance, and you crank your follow focus, then you move the hard stop to a different place, and it's no longer the same focus distance as it was set. So that's quite annoying, but yes, it's a photography lens and cheap compared to the cine lenses, so this is what you get when you use photography lens on the cinema camera. The focus breathing, it's there. It's not outrageous, but it's quite visible. So if you don't like focus breathing, don't get this one. It is quite pronounced, although I haven't encountered the situation where it is annoying for me, but it's probably related to the subjects I've shot already, so flowers, insects, people, and I rarely change the plane of focus in these takes, so it haven't been annoying for me, but it might be annoying for someone. Focus at infinity seems okay. You can get subjects in focus at infinity, but it's dependent on the copy of the lens, so another copy might have problems there. The image stabilization, and I think is the main reason I got this lens. You got a switch, you can turn it off and on, and I'd say it's quite nice, although you cannot expect the gimbal-like stabilization. It's there, and it's nice to fight the micro jitters. So if you shoot something handheld, and even if you try to be stable as possible, then you got these micro jitters because your hands shakes a bit, and this is really good to fight this. But if you move more, if you lean or something like that, then you see the stabilization on the screen, and sometimes it creates this weird effect of the warp reality when the planes of focus move differently, and it is kind of weird. So for some takes you should turn off the image stabilization, but for close-ups, for shooting people handheld, it's really nice. So in my opinion, it's much better than shooting Sigma at 35, but maybe I'm not skilled enough to do it handheld. And image stabilization is not as loud as one on Canon 70-200 f4, but in some situations where it's really quiet, you can hear the image stabilization recorded when you record from the mic on the camera, so it might be annoying, although it's not, the sound is not that annoying. So in terms of image stabilization, I really like this lens. And the field of view, it is 35 millimeters on a full frame f2. On Blackmagic it becomes 54mm f3.1, and is it enough shallowness of the depth of field for the video? I'd say it's sometimes even too much, especially with the minimum focus distance. You should stop down the lens to get enough depth of field to see something. Sometimes I should close up with f2, and then it is too shallow to show the whole subject. So you should stop down to f2.8 or even f4 sometimes. So I'd say f2 on Blackmagic is enough. And regarding the field of view, it is said that people got field of view between 35 to 55 millimeters full frame equivalent. I'm rather on the wider side of this spectrum. So when I put Canon 24 millimeters on Blackmagic, I got exactly the same field of view as camera got. So 24 millimeters on Blackmagic is something around 37 millimeters. It seems my field of view around 37, 38 millimeters, but it's actually personal thing, because it depends how far your eyes from each other, how deep are in the face, and what and how your brain processes what you see. So some people got narrower field of view, some people got wider field of view, and for me 24 is the same I got, but to be honest, I prefer tighter field of view, and for me the 35 on Blackmagic is a telephoto lens, so it is narrower than what I see, and this creates some emphasis on your subject. So I'd say I like this focal length. I prefer that over 24, and I'd say something around 55 is my preferred focal length. So actually I really like this combination of this lens and Blackmagic 6K in terms of the focal length. But you also have to be aware of these focal length limitations. So for example, if you want a full body shot of an adult male, then you have to be like 5 meters from your subjects to get the whole body in the frame. So in some situations it's not possible. When you're in the tight space or narrow space, then might be the case that this is too much of the telephoto to get your subject in the frame. But if you want to, for example, shoot a portrait framing, then you are 1.3 meters from your subject on the Blackmagic, and for medium shot is something around 2 meters. So in that case it's rather not a problem, and I think it's actually the best focal length for such framing, although it's personal preference, so some people like different focal lengths. I got 6 lenses for my Blackmagic 6K, and if I would have to choose one, I would choose this one, although probably there are better 35s for Blackmagic, but I really like the stabilization here. Regarding the picture quality, wide open you lose some contrast, but you can fix it in post and it's not very bad. The color rendering, I'd say, is quite neutral for the lens, although maybe a bit into the warm side, yet very pleasing, so nothing to complain about. I guess the Sigma is a bit sharper wide open than this one, but it's not a big difference, so to be honest I prefer shooting this one really. I think this one creates more of the organic look than Sigma. Sigma is really sharp, so sometimes it seems really digital on the Sigma, and I think this one is actually better. And I got 6 lenses for my Blackmagic 6K. If I would have to choose one, I would get this one, and I could live only with this lens. So of course it's a personal preference, but for shooting people, shooting close-ups, I would choose this one, and probably it is a good lens to start with Blackmagic. Although if you want something more professional, you should check the cine lenses for the Blackmagic, but this seems to be quite nice alternative. Maybe not that cheap, but still really nice quality. Image stabilization works nice to an extent. Of course, to be honest, I cannot complain about this lens. Maybe the only complaint is that this somewhat hard to focus between 2 meters and infinity. So for full body shots, then might be annoying. But if you got big monitor on your camera, that shouldn't be a problem. And of course you can use hard stops to narrow the focus field, so you can somewhat fight this issue. And the rest, I cannot complain about it. So actually all other aspects of this lens are really, really nice. So I'm really happy I got it. Of course, as always, I bought it with my own money. That's why I think it's a quite honest review. And I'd say I would recommend this lens for Blackmagic 6K, unless there are some alternatives that fits you better, then you should do a research. But for me, this lens is really, really nice. And it also might be nice for talking head videos, although without autofocus, with a framing like this, you are around 1 meter from the lens, so it would be hard to focus. But if you are not a leaner, then you should be okay if you set focus correctly from the beginning. 70% price of the Sigma, so it depends. I got both. They are created for different shooting styles, so I say this is the best lens I got for run and gun, and I will choose it any day for such situation. Some example footage after the commercial break. Cheers, mate.